Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Franchise Tag Podcast. This will be episode 3, airing before week 3 of the NFL season. This episode, we're going to go through our pick'ems real quick, a lot quicker than we did last time, changing up the format just a little bit to get a little bit more discussion in on some other topics rather than just predicting the games, because that's all that last episode basically was, and it was a little bit too
Clearly, we're
heavy.
not good at predicting the games.
Clearly not. So we'll jump right into the pick'ems. I'll start off with my results. I, for the second straight week, went 8-8 with my results for a total record of 16-16.
Yeah, I also went 8-8, but I carrying myself with a better record overall with 19-13.
We'll talk about our locks of the week that both failed miserably. I
Failed. Yeah.
I really thought that the Chargers had the Titans, and after watching that game, the Titans are just a lot better than I expected. And I mean, Brandon Staley is not a good head coach, and that's definitely part of the problem.
hmm
But the Titans' passing attack actually existed, and Derrick Henry hasn't really taken a step back, maybe a small one. But Tajay Spears is a very good relief back for Derrick Henry. He did very well in his touches.
Yeah. Um, I didn't get to see any of that game, but I was very shocked with the overtime at all that they went into overtime, and much less the Titans walked out with a victory there. And in another overtime game for the lock of the week was the Seahawks Lions. And, there was the chance that there was a missed holding on the game winner. I don't really care about that. It's just the entire defense played like the defense does. Um, it was basically like last season all over again. Allowed 29 first downs. And the Seahawks, really, to me, like, it was like they were running routes against air for half of the damn game. Uh, and then you combine the fact that when David Montgomery got hurt and the DB covering DK got hurt and CJGJ was now out for the year but got hurt and taken out in the middle of the game because he had a shoulder issue and then they wrapped him up and now he has a torn pec. And Ross saw some time on the bench because he was wrapping an ankle. Basically, every player you could think of that you know the name of for the Lions, besides Jameer Gibbs and Jared Goff, had to go see the medical tent. So uh, that was a rough game to watch as
So what
a
I'm
as a
what I'm
Lions fan.
hearing is excuses for why you lost.
Yeah. Well, the defense sucks. That's not much of an excuse, but
The
they did
just
suck.
something I forgot to mention with the Chargers Titans. The Chargers defense was abysmal. Like
Yes.
they could not stop anything. And granted, you're going against Derrick Henry. They were blitzing a lot, and they were timing their blitzes really well. That's something I did notice, that whoever's in charge of that, whether that's a player that's or the players are just really good at timing their stuff, or if that's a coach that works with them in practice on that, whatever it is, they're really good at it.
Yeah, and like it's worth mentioning back to the my lock of the week that the Lions defense wasn't like all shit. They managed to keep the Seahawks to like a 3 yard per carry game, and Kenneth Walker was like 2.5 yards a carry. It's simply the fact that Geno Smith was virtually unpressured the entire game. There was one sack, virtually unpressured the entire game while having two backup tackles in, and the defense just seemed to like give up basically on like, oh, we're not going to get pressure. We're just not going to try. So that was a rough thing to witness. David Montgomery will be missing some time now, and we will get into that later.
We'll move on to the shit show of the week that I predicted last week that ended up actually being a very interesting game. Apparently, Josh Dobbs is a very capable quarterback in the league, and the
Hey, I knew
Giants
that
are
from week
awful
one.
and had to come back from 21 points down on the Cardinals. The team that experts are projecting to go 0-17 was up 21 points on the Giants. And my
I'm
preseason
not so sure
prediction,
experts as much as us, but yeah.
well, I mean, other people predicted it. It was a tweet I
Yeah,
saw
they
that said
will
experts
lose a lot of.
predicted this. But anywho, uh, you know, I kind of forgot what I was saying. I'm not gonna lie. uh, my preseason prediction of the Giants sucking this year is going swimmingly. It is a wonderful thing to be able to claim that I said the Giants were going to suck when a lot of people were saying that they were going to be mediocre, and I was like, no, 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 that's too good for them.
Mediocre is too good. The Cardinals, they're fitting to our agenda with their 0-2 start, but they do look a lot better than I think anyone would have tried to give them credit for. Um, Josh Dobbs is playing competently. They were up by 21 points. Like, yeah, they fumbled that away, luckily for our picks, but
Well,
helps my Pick'em's record.
they're throwing,
But
so of
yeah,
course they're going to fumble it
they
away.
they definitely are looking too competitive for what we thought.
Yeah, and
Um,
if they continue to have like crumbling in the fourth quarter and crumbling in the second half, then it's going to look real suspicious on the whole, throwing front and trying to get Caleb. And uh, I just, I don't know, man. I hope he goes literally anywhere else.
on the topic of teams we thought were going to suck ass, the Bucks are 2-0, and they beat our favorites of the 0-2 Bears. So yeah, the Bucks defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, but also Baker Mayfield is managing to play
He's
well despite
he's
the
looking competent, and I hate it. And
yeah,
my bingo,
those
my
practice clips
this practice
were
clips
not.
were. I mean, yeah, that's every year practice clips are misconstrued. But man, I thought those were for sure like,
That
yep,
looked rough.
Baker
Yeah.
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But now my prediction of him throwing for more picks than touchdowns is looking really rough because he's 3-0 in the ratio right now. Uh,
Yeah. Uh, it's a hard time to be a Bucks hater and a Bears truther because the Bears truth looks pretty shit right now.
I'm not a
Played
Bears truther
real bad.
anymore. I'm a Justin Fields truther. Get him out of there.
We've
Free,
always been Justin Fields
free,
truthers.
free Justin Fields. Seahawks trade a second rounder for him. Let
Yeah.
him sit behind Geno for a year, then put him in an offense that's competent and see what happens. I I'm a I like the Seahawks. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing as a Patriots fan, but I don't hate the Seahawks. I respect them, and I would love to see them with a really athletic quarterback. I wanted to see Anthony Richardson go there. I would love to see Justin Fields actually end up there, and I think that he is not going to be on the Bears for very long if they continue to mess up like this.
Yeah.
And
It's such a bad situation that he was drafted into. Head coach change. Clearly, the coaching changes don't matter that much once they get more talent underneath them. Uh, there was, I mean, there was a pick six because they ran a screen with like the shadow of their goalposts over the O line.
yeah,
Like that's not a good play call when when you're in that situation at all. And it's like I think it was 17-20. So
not out of the
they're
game.
trying to drive to win the game.
Yeah. I want to actually get into some of the topics that we have to talk about, and I want to ask you one of these. I know it's really annoying to watch, but how do you feel about the tush push, the Jalen Hurts sneak where they just push him over the line? Because my
Are we
opinion,
talking the Eagles tush push or the league trying to do the tush push and like
I'm
everyone
talking
got
about
hyped up into thinking it works?
just in general the tush push as a play. Because my opinion on it has changed massively over the past week. I don't know if yours
Interesting.
has.
Um, it's obnoxious when the Eagles spam it, but I've never like just disliked it in general as like a play. I think it's an interesting like, you know, it's so the Patriots, we can see that they just read the rule book really well and managed to block a field goal off of that. And I feel like that's what the Eagles basically did coming up with the tush push. It was like, there's nothing that says this isn't allowed.
Yeah,
So they did it.
and the rule book
And
does state you can't pull because they don't want people just pulling people
yeah,
forward for injury reasons as well as just that's not good because then
yeah.
strongest man wins all the time. But
Hmm.
I my opinion changed when I saw a slowed down replay of the offensive line on the tush push because they just cleave out a defensive line and there is no like Jalen Hurts pushing and the people behind him pushing only takes effect after 3 yards. They get 3 yards just off of the offensive line being really good. And nothing can stop that because the O line gets low, they make a V, and they just push, and the D
Yeah.
line is always pushed back. And that's why my opinion on it has changed, is because it's not so much of like just oh, they're pushing the guys. Oh, Jalen Hurts is doing this. It's the O line is just so damn good.
After week one, just watching the game slates, I noticed a lot of attempts at like trying that tush push quarterback sneak, and the Eagles really hyped everyone up into thinking it was going to be easy to do. They're like, "Oh, they did it so easily. Why can't we just try that on a 4th and 1?" And it doesn't work because that's how their O line is built, and they can do that. But they, you can't just like see that play and be like, "Oh, we can push our guy, right?" And no, you can't
No,
because
you can't push against a 350-pound defensive tackle. But when the
yeah,
350-pound defensive tackle gets pushed out of the way by stellar offensive linemen, then you can push through. So
yeah.
it gets 5 yards instead of three because of Jalen Hurts and the pushing, but it gets 3 yards instead of none because of the offensive line, which is my opinion on it and why it had changed.
I've I hate the Eagles doing it because it just looks so automatic and they go to it so often. But as a play in general, when there was the talk that it was going to get removed, it shouldn't. No one else can do it as they can. That doesn't mean the competition committee needs to come in and be like, no, this is unfair to defenses. It's not. It's just they need to like load that little singular foot of space with fatter guys. I don't know what to tell you.
We'll we'll move off of the tush push for now. We can talk about the winless and undefeated teams that we did not expect to be winless and undefeated. We'll start with Bears being defeated, and we kind of already briefly touched on it, but like that's a coaching and lack of offensive line thing. And as rough as Justin Fields looks, he's been coached into a pocket and he has
hmm
been told not to escape. He's been told not to use his athleticism and not to trust his arm and like to
Yeah.
just try to be a pocket passer, which he's not. And
And
the
it's worse because they're all right, be a pocket passer, but also we're not going to give you the O line to be in the pocket, and we're going to make sure every play we call is going to take like 2 to 3 seconds to develop. So instead of like, oh, I'm gonna get the ball out quick, because their opening drive, they were getting the ball out quick and they were looking good, and then okay, now we scored on that drive. Let's try to do more advanced things. And there was a certain play I saw breakdown of it. They made him read a right side bubble screen, so option to the screen, and then from that, look left to the edge rusher to try to do a read option off of that. And you watch the clip back, and okay, he's looking to the right and he sees the like corner come down, and he's like, okay, can't throw that. And he doesn't even really look at the line back or the edge, you know, read because he's just like, I have to run. Like, and it's
the clock in his head went off and he was like, I got to get
yeah,
out. And
yeah, and
he's
it's like if he gave it off, that would have been better than if he took it because he took it and then he had to like juke out a guy and he picked up a couple of yards. But it's clearly the scheme that they're like trying to implement for him isn't working. They need to get it out quick. They need to emphasize his ability, and instead they are let's take as much time as we need and let's make sure he stays in that pocket because it's just a dumb thing that they must be drilling into him because it's so different from last season.
yeah, and it's his instincts are there, and that's why I believe in him so much. Is because you can see, like you said with the read option play, his clock went off. He just doesn't have the ability to sit in the pocket for long enough or to escape and trust the rest of his team. Because the only good players on his team are his running back Khalil Herbert, his tight end Cole Kmet, and Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore,
DJ
and
Moore.
no
Yeah.
offensive linemen. He can't trust any of them except for occasionally the rookie Darnell
Darnell Wright.
Wright. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's shown flashes, and when he shows the flashes, he can be trusted. But he's still a rookie offensive lineman, and those are never
hmm
they're never that good off
Yeah.
rip. I honestly don't know what we were just talking about. We just had to take a small break, so we'll move off the Bears. I think we said all we really had to on them. Free Justin Fields, free my boy. Starting that right now.
Yeah.
We'll go on to the Chargers, another winless team that has shown flashes but is held back by coaching. This one I think is a little bit more put together than the Bears, though. They've got a solid O line, solid receivers, solid tight ends. So,
Yeah. It's just that that good old Brandon Staley situational awareness
or
coming
lack
into
thereof.
play. Yeah. Uh yeah, I don't know how you let this game go in overtime. just off of my understanding of the Titans, I didn't watch any of it. Did they look competent, or
Oh, they looked very
what was
competent.
the issue?
We talked about this during my
Just
lock, or I talked about this during the lock a little bit,
hmm
lock of the week. But they, Ryan Tannehill looked elite. Unfortunately, as shocking as that is to say, Derrick
damn,
Henry,
sacked 5 times.
Derrick Henry looked solid. He didn't. I mean, he was no like 25, 26-year-old Derrick Henry out there, but he's 30 and he's still able to take a majority of touches and is powerful and runs through tackles and does Derrick Henry things. And the other running back, Tajay Spears, I believe is his name, looked very good in relief of Derrick Henry. I said that as well during the when we were talking about it earlier. And then Ryan Tannehill had some ball placement that was really nice on some touch. He had a nice touch on the passes that he threw, and he fit into some tight windows that I liked to see. And I mean, Treylon Burks had his big 75-yard catch down the field, and they had another deep shot. I think it was Chris Moore, and he had like a nice 40-yard catch down the field just up the seam. And then Tannehill ran one in, as he typically does a couple times a season. It was triple option, where the option was a handoff to either Tajay Spears or one of the other backup running backs, and then he ran to the outside with Derrick Henry, and the option was to flip it to Derrick Henry or keep it himself, and he fake flipped it to Derrick Henry and then took it in for the end zone, for a touchdown. So he looked competent throwing and running the ball, and it was something that I haven't seen from him lately. So maybe I just haven't been watching closely enough, but he looked pretty good, and the Chargers defense looked really weak. So I'm not sure which is more prevalent, if it was actually a masterclass from Tannehill and Derrick Henry, or if the defense was just really bad. But the Titans offense looked very good.
Thursday night football, the Vikings. Uh, Height ish loss. Uh, Obviously, their defense is going to leave them playing from behind in a lot of games, but Justin Jefferson, another 1,500 yard, 1,000.
Wow, as you were saying, I was like, what the fuck is he going for? I'm leaving that in.
Another 150-yard game for Justin Jefferson. So my fantasy team's happy, as is anyone who likes Kirk passing for a bunch of yards and a lot of TDs. But I bet the Vikings fans don't care that much because they're still losing due to their horrendous defense and constant offensive mistakes. Um, they have a turnover differential of -6. It's been 2 games, and they are consistently averaging 3 giveaways a game. Not even 3 giveaways,
The
three
differential, yeah.
differential. Yeah,
3 more
they
giveaways than the
have
other team.
they have one takeaway on the year, so they've lost the ball 7 times.
That
Uh,
I just want to talk about those takeaways real quick. That Justin Jefferson play where he fumbled it through the back of the end zone, or through the
so
out of
dumb.
bounds of the end zone. I don't hate the rule. I also don't like the rule. But whether you like it or not, it's a rule, and that's what Justin Jefferson said, is it's a rule. We knew it. We're taught not to reach. We're taught not to go for the end zone unless it's fourth down, and he took ownership, and I like to see that. So that was cool. I mean, sucks that he fumbled it and hurt his team's chances of winning, but
Yeah,
the Vikings can't have nice things on prime time, so you know it had to happen.
yeah. Also, on the flip side, as I was talking about the defense being horrendous, DeAndre Swift went for 175
Dude,
yards.
what the fuck?
Yeah, that
He just
was
he was a hot knife through butter. He carved that defense up, and he
for
just looked
real.
really good.
And DeAndre Swift, X line. I've seen a lot of DeAndre Swift, and he's always been pretty exciting. He'll get the ball, and usually he's going to make someone miss. Sometimes he hesitates and can't manage to find a hole. Uh, Eagles' holes are just bigger, I guess. They make sure they make them real easy for him to see. Uh,
Well,
so
yeah,
yeah,
we
he
were
popped off.
we were talking about that O line. They're doing it for run plays too. They're just
Hmm.
carving up a hole for the running backs.
Definitely.
It's
And
I was also gonna say, speaking on the Vikings, the Eagles have had two tough wins to start the year on two
mhm,
teams that they were definitely expected to handle pretty easily. So
yeah,
they've been close games against the Patriots and Vikings. So I don't know if the Eagles are just going to be close game guys all year and they're going to win all their games by one
Yeah.
score and still go undefeated or whatever. But as it looks right now, if they run into a top tier team and have to go toe to
Which
toe with
right
them,
now, who are the top tier teams? Like the Niners,
Niners,
and
oh, in the NFC you're talking?
I'm just talking in general because Chiefs they are having some offensive struggles to start this year off. I mean, that was a messy win over the Jaguars.
I mean, the
Uh,
Jaguars were having some offensive struggles too in that game, so I don't even know if I'd
yeah,
call them a
they
top team. The Ravens, I would
yeah
call top team.
Ravens,
I
Dolphins are easily top. So
Yes, easily,
I
easily.
guess we're looking at right now the 49ers, uh, Ravens, and Dolphins are our top guys because I
I
mean
think you can't
Cowboys,
exclude the
Eagles, and
Chiefs.
Commies.
I cannot exclude the Chiefs from a top team conversation, even with offensive struggles. They'll figure it out. They always do. And then,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Cowboys are also a very good team. They're
Sadly,
unfortunately, man, I wish they sucked. It's so much more fun when they suck.
so much. Yeah, it's fine. Wait till playoffs. Um, Bengals
Wait till
off to
playoffs.
a rough start here, and I saw reports that Joe Burrow has retweaked his calf strain in that loss. Do you have anything to say about the game, Bengals versus Ravens?
I didn't really watch it. I just, Bengals have struggled this season, and especially in week one, it was something we did not expect to happen.
Yeah,
I just
at
think
all.
that O line's a lot worse than we thought it was, and they're playing teams that don't have terrible pass rush, and their division is full of teams that have very good pass rushes, and I'm worried if Joe Burrow is hurt that it's going to be rough for him all year, and for the entire team if Joe Mixon can't figure out how to run the ball. I didn't watch this past game, but week one, Joe Mixon looked like he had forgotten how to carry the football, and
Yeah, and they're having a little bit of a crisis with the fact that Joe Burrow's already attempted 72 passes in 2 games.
yeah.
Feels a little high. Feels like they're needing to just force the ball into Joe's hands and like say, "Hey, go be a hero for us," instead of having a consistent run game.
Yeah, and Jamar Chase has dropped essentially a goose egg on my fantasy team every both weeks, so I'm not super happy about that. And if Joe Burrow goes down, his usage will go down. But it is what it is. And if Burrow is injured, I want to see him sit himself out and take the time to heal. He's got a big contract, and if they suck this year, draft good players in the draft and fix the issues you've got. It's the future is what they're playing for right now, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, their future is just a lot of Joey B money. So
Joey B money. Uh,
we can go to the undefeateds that were a little bit surprising, aka three-fourths of the NFC South,
yeah,
and also the Commanders, for some reason, are undefeated.
yeah. Uh, Commanders. I mean, I like Commanders entering the year. Not enough for me to obviously give them a lot of ups on my season long predictions, but I did like their team overall. They just needed to have their defense start playing up to what they were supposed to be, um, and Sam Howell to show out as he kind of gave us a little glimpse of at the end of last year. So Commanders to me aren't like the biggest shocker out of the list of including the Buccaneers and the Saints and the Falcons.
I was also high
Falcons,
on them. I also liked the Commanders, but not 2-0 to start the season high. I thought they
yeah,
would have some bumps and then Howell would figure it out and continue on.
yeah. In terms of the the Saints, I was of course, I thought Derek Carr was going to improve them a lot. The Falcons are shocking to me, but I guess when they run the ball like they do, they don't need Desmond Ridder to really prove that he's a top guy or that this or that, and he doesn't need to. I mean, they dueled it out with Jordan Love and Desmond Ridder. He was 19 for 32, 237, a touchdown, and interception. Bijan went for over 100. They attempted 45 run plays. They are going to run the ball. And he's really just there to try to be a game manager and not give the ball away while they hand it off 45 times. So
Going coming out of week one, I'm gonna, a little bit off of the Falcons to the Packers and the team they played. Coming out of week one when they played the Bears, we both were kind of like, they're looking solid, but maybe it was a fluke performance. But the Bears they're gonna be good, so I'm sure the Packers are gonna be really good. And then they come out and lose to the Falcons and look a little rough while doing it. And now we kind of realize, okay, the Bears are not poised to make a big run like we thought they were. And so
but it's interesting because the Bears are very obviously dealing with so much like play calling, with so much just wrong coaching being put in these players' heads, with the fact that they're trying to box in Justin Fields instead of letting him just let loose and succeed. Um, and they're narrowly losing these games. Like it's like, yeah, they lose to the Falcons and then the Falcons beat the Packers. So what's that really mean for Packers Bears kind of like leveling, I guess, if you want to call it that? Um, it'll be interesting when we see any more matchups for this team, because moving forward, the Bears face the Chiefs next week. That's going to be tough sledding after the first 2 weeks that the Chiefs have had and the first 2 weeks that the Bears have had. So that'll be an interesting one for us to predict moving forward. But anything else you want to point out from our topics list here?
uh Alexander Madison, let's talk about it. Let's jump into it. Obviously, we're a little bit like mentally past to the Thursday night game. That's kind of how these episodes go, where on Thursday night it's the first day of football of the week. I watch the games. Those are like the only games I watch live are Thursday nights because I actually have Thursdays off. And so I always like watching those, and so I'm always like really up and ready and like taking notes on the games and writing stuff down and paying close attention to them. And then by the time we record the podcast, we're damn near a week past it, and
Mm-hmm.
I've almost completely forgotten about all of it. But Alexander Madison had a rough game, and that'll happen. And then he got death threats because of his rough
That was
game.
outlandish.
And
Yeah.
what the hell, guys? Let's tone it back a little bit.
Then I've seen a lot of social media posts about like, hey, I'm being threatened with death because I hit Travis Hunter, or I'm a running back in the National Football League.
And I
It's just
fumbled the ball, and
yeah,
now people are telling me to demonetize myself.
yeah,
And
it's
like,
crazy.
fucking chill out. It's a damn game. Alexander
Yeah, you
Madison had
don't
a
need
rough
to
one.
know this much about it.
Oh well. Like it's really not that serious. I just wanted to touch on that and kind of
Yeah,
shout out
there's
Alexander Madison.
really
Keep your head up.
like why do people do this? It's
I
meant to be like a game we all love and come to enjoy, and
and
it's instead people are pissed about like, oh, my fantasy year is ruined because I picked, like, I'm sure Nick Chubb's going to be hearing some of that.
I saw
Like, you
so much
ruined my fantasy
positivity for
football
Nick
year.
Chubb though. I saw so much
Like,
positivity, and I
in
was
his
like, dude,
DMs.
thank God. Yeah, and his DM's probably ruthless, but my guess is he
Yeah,
knows better and he's staying out of the DMs and he's just seeing all the positive messages because damn near every single player in the NFL has shown support for Chubb, and NFL tweeted out, and ESPN and the NFLPA and basically everybody has just been like, dude, shit sucks. Like, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just want to kind
yeah,
of pull it back to the Alex Madison and the death threats and stuff. I love football. I love watching football. I love playing football. I love playing Madden, and I know
yeah.
Elijah does too. And we
Hmm.
would love to, dedicate our working careers towards football, but it's not
Yeah,
that serious. Like it's
no.
never that serious, and it's something that if you're taking something like this that seriously, it starts to be a problem.
Yeah, the
And
only level of like seriousness you could add to it is, oh, I bet money on this. And even then, that was your decision.
yeah,
You can't blame a player because they got injured, or you know, this or that happened, because you're the one who made the decision to put money on the line for something that you have zero control over.
and
And
half the time the bets get refunded anyways. I know that I think on
mhm,
DraftKings the Nick Chubb bets got refunded if that was the only bet. If his line was the only line that lost, your
that
bet
didn't
got
miss.
refunded. Yeah. So that's good. But
It's
betting
just
aside and
taken too
everything,
seriously.
chill the fuck out. Uh,
Yeah.
Next up, let's get into some hate. Uh, let's talk about Matt Canada. Let's get
All right.
into it.
Yeah, we'll dive into that.
I think I
I
think you have a better handle on this than I do, so I'll let you take it away.
yeah. Uh, Matt Canada. You can say all you want about Najee. I won't really argue. I don't think that like Najee's as good as people want him to be, or he doesn't hit that line that much. But he also has to deal with the offensive play calling of a man who just has a boner for running jet sweeps as often as he can. A guy who, I mean, he. It's almost like the jet sweep is the only play he thinks he can run at times, and it's fucking outlandish. You had sent me the screenshot. Uh, Najee had -6 yards rushing through the first half.
I thought it was 6 for 4.
They 6 for 4. It was something crazy, um, just crazy bad. Najee against the Niners was 6 for 31. He had a 24 yard run in that, so he was 5 for 7. They It's not so much a Najee thing to me, just as much as a pure, oh, how are we calling the run game? How are we teaching run scheme? How do we, what situations are we running these plays in? And there was fire Matt Canada chance going in the game
Good.
that they ended up winning. Uh,
I mean,
it's
still
just,
shit. Defense outscores the
yeah,
offense. There should be fire Matt Canada
yeah,
chance.
exactly. They come away with just, they have a terrible run game. And sometimes they'll show like flashes of having good passing games, good pass games, but I feel like it's been a big minute since we've seen any positive rushing. Like, oh, they ran for 5 yards a carry and they completely dominated this other team. That doesn't happen with the Steelers. The Steelers are just wasting away the fact that they have a really good defensive talent tree right now, but all that talent tree is old. They have a really young offensive talent right now that they need to utilize correctly in order to, make use of the fact that they have a really good defense. Instead, they are employing an offensive coordinator that is holding them back, and they just keep employing him year after year. And it's why I think that they're going to have a losing record this year. I think that's going to be the kick in the ass to hopefully have any drive, any ambition to change for the organization. And I mean, until they kind of like they're wasting their window. They'd have a window right now if they had a more productive
Competent.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to talk about this a little bit. It's the Rams in general, but Puka Nakua,
Absolute
a
baller.
record setter, a
Yep.
record setter, a baller, um, fifth rounder, I want to say, fifth round
I'll
pick,
pull
pick
it up.
177.
Okay, there you go.
Rams. Um, yeah, absolute baller. He said, "Oh, Cooper Cup's gone. Well, go ahead and
My
call
time to
me
shine.
Uber Bob." Yeah,
Boober Bob. Man, they're going from one really fun name to another really fun name
yeah,
at receiver, and he's broken the record for most catches in his first two starts. He has 25 in his first two
yes.
starts, and the
And their
next highest
previous
was
record was
19 or 18,
19.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, it's that fucking offense, man. It's Matt Stafford led offenses in general, but especially with it being catered to Cooper Cup and a guy who can catch a large quantity of passes and
Yeah.
just excel with that. He's fit in great, and he's just kind of taken that role. And I'm not saying that Cup isn't super talented, but if they can throw a fifth round rookie in there and he can do the same thing, I'm wondering how many other players would be able to do what Puka Nakua is doing right now. I haven't watched Rams games. I am not super interested in the Rams. Um,
That's rude.
I'm
I find
sorry.
that
I
distasteful.
like seeing Puka Nakua succeed. I like seeing them succeed. It's cool. I'm not super interested in watching the games. I'd rather watch different games in my limited time. But maybe
Fine.
you know what? Maybe next week I'll watch the Rams game and do some Puka Nakua uh, analysis. I don't
Yeah,
know if what he's doing is super like, oh, only he can do it, or like he's doing something that
it's kind of like Kelsey like he just finds the holes in the zones,
okay,
and he's being a smart, like it was the Cooper Cup Stafford connection where it was like, oh, they know where the holes are, and Cooper Cup's like analyzing what, oh, they're going to be in cover three, I need to get here. And he's doing the same thing where he's just kind of like, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna do this right. Oh wait, no one's around me, I'm stopping, why do I need to continue to slant route? Like
yeah,
he's being on top of it. And next week we do have a Super Bowl rematch of the Rams and Bengals, so maybe it is
we
going to
do
be one you want to watch. But
maybe.
uh, last thing I want to point out on that topic is Puka Nakua is second in the league for receiving yards, and that beats out Tyreek Hill. And after that week one of Tyreek Hill, I would have never suspected that that would be words to leave my mouth. Here we are. Uh, so I think that that just about wraps up my Puka Nakua love. You need to really get on that, really start watching some of that.
I probably should. One last thing that I briefly mentioned to you that you have written down here that I would like to see a little bit because of a certain Madden franchise we've got going on, but a fullback renaissance would be really cool to see because the way we're going with running backs, and I'm going to take this into kind of talking about a little bit more of some stuff about running backs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the direction we're going is nobody's going to be a running back, right? You're just going to have people that line up in the backfield and are receivers and can catch out of the backfield. And we're already kind of starting to see that. The 49ers do it all the time with Debo Samuel, obviously. And I think that's where we're going with running backs because the actual, like, your Saquon Barkleys, your Nick Chubbs, your Derrick Henrys, your full, like, three down running backs, maybe a little bit less on the Derrick Henry front. They typically pull him for third down. But
Mm-hmm.
your guys that are like that pure runners are not being as highly valued as guys who are shifty out of the backfield and can catch passes. And if you're going to have a running back that his main thing is being shifty and catching passes, that's typically not somebody you want to put at the goal line and tell him go up the middle. So if we kind of see a new type of running back that isn't necessarily a running back, but is more of like a tight end that lines up in the backfield, which is basically what a fullback is.
Fullback
He's
is,
a
yeah.
blocker that lines up in the backfield that can carry it on occasion. I think that might start to come to fruition unless running backs start to get paid. And something that was said, I think, by Travis Etienne was that the receiving running backs are getting paid, like Christian McCaffrey, like Austin Eckler, like they're getting deals and they're being
Yeah.
valued more highly for longer than those pure runners. And I think
And
that that's going to be the case. But if somebody doesn't want to be Debo Samuel and run the ball and catch the ball, and they just want to catch it out of the backfield, then we'll just start to see more four receiver sets rather than three and stuff like that.
yeah, I think harkening back to what Travis Etienne had said, he's definitely right because we're it's been such a trend of passing offense, passing focus. So obviously they're going to value people that can contribute to both sides. But also there seems to, with the devaluing of running backs, it's kind of like a increase in value of, oh, the O line's doing their job. Like you need so much to have a good running back. You need to have the O line work. You need to have the scheme work. They need to have good vision. They need to have good speed. If you have a receiving back, they're helping you out in the receiving game, and it's not like their production is purely based on our O line is good. Like because they're usually going to be faster. They're usually going to be able to make people miss in space because they get the ball out and they make someone miss in space and then they're good to go. Uh, DMC bread and butter. He's going to just go catch in the flat and then he's going to manage to pick up 10 off of it for whatever reason. Uh, I think that that definitely is the trend of we aren't going to value pure runners. We're going to value people that can help in both facets and won't rely so heavily on the offensive line play.
Taking it from the fullback talk and kind of moving into more running back things, um, you have on here the NFLPA wants running backs to fake injuries. And I had sent you a tweet that had a list, or like part of the memo that the
Mm-hmm.
NFL sent
Okay.
to the
Had
NFLPA. And I'm going to just read this out. There's 3 different
verbatim.
screenshots of 3 different text boxes. I'm going to read it out and then we're going to talk about it. So, beginning this past summer and continuing throughout training camp, NFL Players Association leadership, including President J.C. Treader, have become increasingly vocal in advising NFL players dissatisfied with their current contracts to consider feigning or exaggerating injuries to withhold service as a way to increase their leverage in contract negotiations. We have become aware of a formal Zoom hosted by the NFLPA with certain NFL running backs in which this advice was conveyed. This conduct is a clear violation of the union's agreement to use best efforts to faithfully carry out the terms and conditions of the CBA, and to see that the terms and conditions of all NFL player contracts are carried out in full by players. The union's conduct is also reckless, as any player that chooses to follow this advice and improperly withhold services under his player contract will be subject to discipline and financial liability under the CBA, club rules, and or the player's contract. As a result, we'll be filing a grievance, whatever. I just want to kind of take it down a notch. They said consider exaggerating injuries, and I feel like the main message was, hey, take care of yourself. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here and say that the NFLPA wasn't blatantly saying, hey, go fake injuries, and they were saying, hey, if you've tweaked your ankle and you think you might re-injure it, don't go out there and re-injure it because your team wants you to. Hold out, because durability and longevity is crucial to a running back's career. Their lifespan is so short in the NFL because of the injuries and because of all these things. So if you have a weak point in your body, take care of it. And maybe that's not at
Yeah.
all the message, and maybe it was completely like, hey, tell them you broke your foot or something like that. But I feel like it was probably angled more at the take care of yourself no matter what the coaches and doctors are trying to get you to play as quickly as possible, because obviously it's a business, so the
Mm-hmm.
people that profit are going to want you to
It's
perform. But
Yeah, it really comes down to like the word choice of that, where it's like, okay, exaggerate and feign. Like exaggerate maybe isn't so bad. Feign kind of just implies purely faking it out. Like, oh, I'm hurt, coach, take me out. Like, I don't think any player is going to be like, oh, I need more money. I'm not like, I'm hurt, coach, pay me more. You're not going to get paid more if you're hurt. You need to actually produce on the field.
not directly.
And
But my whole thing about
it's a
longevity is
weird
that
thing.
things like Todd Gurley, he was 28 and he
Mm-hmm.
had no more gas in the tank. He was done, and
Yeah,
that led
arthritis in
to
the knee.
yeah, and that led to him not being able to get a contract past age 28, which is 6 years in the NFL for most players, 5 for some, and that's a rookie contract for a first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, you're playing for your rookie contract. You might get a year or two past that, and then you're done. And that's something that is not sustainable, because a lot of running back contracts are third round and beyond guys where they sign that cheap rookie deal and then play their rookie deal and then they're done. And you haven't gotten that life-changing money that everybody else is getting. And that kind of is why I'm seeing a shift away from full fluid like pure running backs and more towards the receivers out the backfield and power backs.
Yeah, it's going to be something we need to watch, see as these uh, grievances that are being filed, uh,
Also to see
kind
if they
of,
have any weight, because I mean, there's
yeah,
there's a chance that it's just like, yeah, that was a fake report
yes,
or
it was
something
just
like
like,
that.
yeah,
Like,
like a
uh,
memo pulled out of nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, just some other quick news to get through here. Obviously, if anyone watched the Monday Night Football game, and we already spoke on it regarding just like random, like the Alexander Madison hate, like people just get hate. Nick Chubb is going to be out for the year, and it might be a career. Uh, and I'm certainly not really rooting for that. He's a great player, and we want to see him continue his great career. But a lot of other injuries.
Real quick, for Nick
Yep.
Chubb's injury, it was the same leg that he tore his ACL, MCL, LCL, and something else on in college. The fear is that it's all the ligaments and another dislocated knee, and if that happens, same knee
Yeah.
twice. I wouldn't put weight on that knee again. I would
Hmm.
personally never do that again. And I think that if it's as bad as it looked, which I think it is,
And it looked bad.
yeah. I sent it to we have a group chat with the guys in our fantasy football league, and I sent it there after. Um,
Warning
I
about its gruesomeness.
yeah,
And I
I
did
was
not
like,
see the warning.
dude, fuck Nick Chubb, and the guy that owns him in our fantasy league was like, what happened? And I was like, planted his foot, got hit, leg bent, and then sent
Wrong
the
way.
tweet and said, if you care to watch. And unfortunately, my description was hidden by the tweet that I had
Hmm.
sent. And
Hmm.
so Elijah went ahead and clicked on the tweet and then was like, motherfucker, I wish I had
Yeah.
read your description of it, wouldn't have watched it. But uh,
I wish I just read that and didn't actually witness it.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah. Just to power through some other real bad injuries, my Lions, of course, are going to be missing CJ Gardner Johnson for the rest of the year because it was confirmed he had a torn pec following the game. Saquon will be missing multiple weeks,
Maybe
and
might miss multiple
maybe.
weeks. He's not
Okay.
even ruled out for this week. I'll put it that way.
Gotcha.
So
Who was it? I thought I'd seen that one running back was going to be on IR.
uh, his tweet reads, "Today in the NFL, Chiefs restructure Patrick Mahomes. Nick Chubb suffers season-ending knee injury. Saquon is uh, to miss approximately 3 weeks with an ankle sprain. CJGJ had a serious pec injury that could be season-ending. That is confirmed to be season-ending.
Hmm.
Minka has chest injury. Lions defensive end James Houston has an ankle fracture out 6 to 8 weeks. Shaq
That was the
Thompson
other one. Yep.
Shaq Thompson suffered a serious ankle injury out indefinitely. Cardinals placed Buda Baker on IR. Steelers placed Deontay Johnson on IR. And then we'll get to Cam Akers back on the trade block again, second year in a row. They last year they cut Darrell Henderson and then tried to trade Cam Akers, and nothing materialized. This year they're trying to trade Cam Akers because Kyron Williams has been popping off, and I don't think anything will materialize, but maybe it will. Maybe the Browns send him a sixth-round pick for him, and
But yeah, maybe
but Jerome Ford apparently looked really good in wake
he
of
did.
Nick Chubb.
He did have a really good. I saw one super long touchdown run. And I had him broke some tackles on that one, so he was looking pretty good.
This
Um,
this
and
game
then for
he ran 16 for 106 with an additional 3 catches for 25 yards, and then his longest carry is not listed on
and I can
PFR.
get you his longest carry. It was a 69-yard touchdown.
Ah,
Nice.
nice, very nice.
And one thing I wanted to note is that Anthony Richardson has now not finished his second NFL game in a row, and that's a little bit worrying for someone we are definitely keeping a close eye on for their rookie years. It's, I don't particularly know why this last one was an injury to the just a concussion. I don't recall what the injury was week one, but I mean it's something to watch. Keep an eye out for. Not saying he's injury prone, but it might just be a certain play style that they have and that they keep making sure to use him on and run. I mean, he's doing like Josh Allen.
No,
He's
he's the
they
problem
both
is
seem to always try to speed run to injury.
the problem is it's Cam
Josh Allen
Newton,
just survives.
and Cam Newton, his career was essentially ended because he kept running and kept getting injured. And Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Richardson is the same style where he's just a power runner at quarterback. And when you
Yeah,
keep doing that, you're going to get hurt. And he needs to, I mean, rein it in a little bit every now and then. Don't look to run every play, but that'll come with time, I believe.
yeah. And then
Let's jump into some bingo updates next. Alrighty, let's
um,
real quick just run through some bingo updates. Justin Jefferson, we mentioned earlier, had his second straight game with 150 yards receiving, so that goes along with my bingo slot of him having 5 straight weeks with 100 plus. Michael Thomas, I am changing that from him playing in 4 straight games to him playing 10 games on the season. Don't have to be 10 straight; they can be split up. But I am changing it just because it's seeming like his injury bug has left him. So
Yeah, to be fair, it was
there's
just off of the fact that he didn't want to get surgery for one of the years. It's a
true.
little wild.
And then my last slot that I want to talk about is the Baker throws for more picks than touchdowns. That's not looking too good with his performances, but we shall see.
Just some statistical updates for me. I'm not shifting anything around just quite yet. The ones that I have that are seeming more likely is Matt Stafford reconnecting with his teammates. Him and Puka Nakua have started that streak off hot. Technically, I'm not out of the running on a team going 17-0. The Buccaneers might be making an upset city running for that one.
Dude, none of the good teams are undefeated except the Eagles.
Yeah. The Seahawks missing playoffs. They're 1-1, so that's way too soon to call that one. The Panthers missing playoffs due to a Week 18 loss. They're 0-2. They're going to need to rally in a division of only 2-0 guys to try to get close into that one. And then lastly, Gronk's tight end touchdown record isn't really in that much trouble with Travis Kelce missing a week, and then he had one touchdown, I believe, this week.
He didn't have a Travis
did it go
Kelce
right
performance.
He had one touchdown, and then he had a ball fly through his hands in the end zone.
Damn,
So
I'm glad I didn't watch that game. I would have been livid.
there's all of those updates for me for my chances. Anything 2 quarterbacks rushing for 1,000 yards is also not looking great with Justin Fields, the pocket passer.
On to NFL stocks. And a little bit of an update there. The Bears are the ones, or Bears, Jags, and Seahawks are ones that I own. Currently, Bears have not won a game, and Jags and Seahawks are both 1-1. So if that continues, the Bears will be worth $100, and then the Jags and Seahawks will be worth $500 each.
Yeah, you're off to a hot start with those Jaguars, huh?
And man, they play the Chiefs, all right? Cool it.
Yeah, I know, but hey, it costs you a bit much going from getting them early on. Meanwhile, my penny pincher team of Lions, Rams, and Bears, 500 on Lions, 500 on Rams, and the Bears are my only losing team. Only sub 500. We have a very fun graph accumulating, and it will be being shown probably around week 5 when we open up that market up. And we will see then where the cream of the crop are rising. Do we want to go ahead and get into these pick'ems?
Yeah, we're going to go to pick'ems. I'm doing that now because before I didn't really have a place to put the little intro logos. Now I'm giving myself a place to put the intro logos. You're welcome, future editing self. So, yeah. First game of the week, Thursday night, going to be Giants at Niners. I've got the Niners on that one, and that is my lock of the week. I'm just going to go through and say it now because I already have it picked. I will know if my lock has made it by Thursday night.
Hey, you get that out of the way, though, huh? Run through all of yours because that's how we do it.
Yep. So, got the 49ers, then Colts visit the Ravens in Baltimore, and I've got the Ravens winning that one. The Titans take it to the Browns, and I am going to pick the Titans in that one. With no Nick Chubb, I think the Browns are going to struggle a little bit, and I think the Titans looked better than a lot of people thought. But Browns defense strong. Could see it going either way. Next up, Falcons at Lions. Got the Lions at home on that one. Saints at Packers. Got Saints taking it on the road to the Packers. Texans, Jags. I got the Jags taking that one at home against their division rival. Broncos, Dolphins. Got the Dolphins winning that one. Really high on the Dolphins. We both are. So obviously got them winning that one. Chargers at Vikings. This is a noon game. I, right now, on my updated board, have the Chargers winning, but I'm going to switch that to the Vikings. This is a clash of two defeated teams, and this is noontime Kirk O'Chains we're talking about, all right? So we gotta put some respect on his name, all right?
Yeah.
And then we got the Patriots going into New York to face the Jets. I Patriots fan. Got the Patriots winning that one. They kind of own the Jets, and without Aaron Rodgers, I think that Patriots defense will feast. Then Bills at Commanders. I've got the Bills taking that one on the road. Panthers at Seahawks. Got the Seahawks giving the Panthers their third loss of the year. Cowboys at Cardinals. Unfortunately, I am picking the Cowboys. And then Bears at Chiefs. Got the Chiefs winning at home. And then Steelers at Raiders. Got the Steelers taking a road game. Eagles at Bucks. Got the Eagles ending the Buccaneers' undefeated streak. And then Rams at Bengals. I've got the Rams giving the Bengals their third loss of the year.
All right. We have few disagreements here, but you'll be hearing them. 49ers over Giants, obviously. Ravens over Colts. Really just, it's going to be the battle of, like Ghost of Christmas Past, kind of like, here's the next guy. Here's the next Lamar versus Lamar, and Lamar's really going to show out, prove that he's a all-around quarterback. The Browns versus Titans. I'm taking the Browns. I know that the Titans just had a masterclass. The Browns had a masterclass of defense, so I feel like even without Nick Chubb, they might be able to keep pace with the Titans. Lions at home. This isn't just my bias, of course. This is just matching my previous prediction. I have the Saints beating the Packers. Previously, I had the Packers winning this, but I'm feeling a little bit more on the Saints. Obviously, I was high on them. I didn't really give them that respect when I was predicting. I'm going to go ahead and take them here. And in a shocker, I'm going to be having the Texans over the Jaguars. CJ Stroud's looked pretty good.
Yeah, so has Trevor
He's
Lawrence.
barely surviving behind that O-line. But the Jaguars have had their struggles. They struggled in the red zone, and I think that it's a division matchup. They usually go real hard in the paint, and I could see an upset coming in this
Fuck
divisional
it,
one.
guys. I'm changing my lock of the week to Jags over Texans in Jacksonville. You heard it here first. It
Oh,
is changing because I'm going to just shove this down Elijah's throat when the Jags win.
yeah.
Trevor Lawrence,
Go
please
ahead and
don't
do that.
lose. Please, please, Trevor Lawrence.
Dolphins and Broncos. We saw the Broncos get screwed last week. That doesn't change shit. Dolphins for the win. Uh, Vikings Chargers. As I spoke on the Vikings and their terrible turnover differential, I hope that everyone stops eating popcorn prior to the game because I have the Vikings winning this one. Patriots are going to beat the Jets. Zach Wilson is notoriously defeated against the Bill Belichick defenses, so I don't expect that to change. I do expect him to maybe only pass the ball 7 times because they have no confidence in him. Commanders, Bills. Bills have been slow out of the gates.
The
Still taking
fuck?
them.
They just
No,
killed
no.
the Raiders.
Last week, yes. Week 1. But
Okay,
Commanders still losing. Bills win that one. Seahawks, Panthers. I would want so badly for the Panthers to win this. They have to go into the We Are 12 stadium. It's not going to happen with a rookie quarterback. Seahawks winning that one. Cowboys over Cardinals because obviously. Chiefs over Bears. We've talked enough about Bears' woes. And while the Chiefs had their own woes, they still have Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Raiders, Steelers. I'm being your contrarian here. I'm taking the Raiders. Obviously, I hate Matt Canada. I want 0 success for that team. Eagles, Bucks. Please, for the love of God, beat the Buccaneers.
no, I really hope the Bucks beat the Eagles. I want the Bucks to
I
go undefeated.
I go 17-0. Fill out my bingo card, please. Just give me something there. And lastly, Rams over Bengals. Puka Nakua will not be stopped.
I think that if the
And
Bengals, let's oh, your lock of the week, right? Forgot about that.
and lastly, my lock of the week, uh, with the absolute beating that I could see happening. I don't think it will be an absolute beating, but once again, my love for the Dolphins will shine through, and I will take the Dolphins as my pick of the week.
I thought you were gonna say once again I'm gonna lock on the Lions and give them a win
No,
over the
no,
Falcons, and I was like,
no.
dude, you gotta quit this shit.
Hey, I
Um,
jinxed myself last week.
you
All
did.
right, that's why I'm not doing it. I gotta all my superstitions coming out.
Let's real quick before we wind down the episode, let's run through some scenarios. So, if the Rams do beat the Bengals, which we both have happening, the Bengals will be 0-3. What does it look like going from 0-3? Like where do you go from there if you're the Bengals?
Honestly, let's see, because the Bengals have a tough matchup through the years, and I'm just gonna go check just a couple of the ones that they'd have following up this game, because they would play the Titans, and then they would manage to play the Cardinals. They have some easy matchups in my eyes. Titans, of course, have
They've got
shown to be resilient,
in
but
my eyes they have a chance to be 1-5 coming out of week 6.
heading into their bye week,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
they can. I don't
week
think they will
7.
be. I think they'll pull a couple wins. I think they will beat the Titans and Cardinals.
Yeah, they
However,
had a slow start last year. They started 0-2 last year. There's hope
there's
always when you have Joe Burrow.
yeah,
But with
always.
the nursing injury into this next week, with how Sean McVay and Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua have got that offense going, I don't think their first win comes this week. I think it's going to be a week 4 for their first victory.
I would be interested. I'm interested to see that game. I'm interested to see if the Titans can do well against a top team like the Bengals, but that'll be a topic for a future video. Uh, for
And I
now,
will I will throw it out real quick before we end this video. I do feel really bad putting a lock in the week to make the Broncos go 0-3. Just know that, Matthew. I do feel bad.
he doesn't watch these
I'm not
fucking
changing it.
videos.
I'm not changing
It's
it.
okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad. He doesn't watch our videos, so he should feel bad.
Yeah,
Um,
feel bad.
shout out Matt. He actually had
Probably
Nick.
not even liked and subscribed
He had Nick Chubb
like
on
you
his
should.
fantasy team. I feel bad for Matt because he had Nick Chubb. And just real quick, on my whiteboard at the very bottom, I have Chubb with a sad face
Sad
because I am
face.
sad about Nick Chubb, and I just wanna show that. So
We are all sad for Nick Chubb.
literally
Now,
anybody else on the Browns, I would have been like, man, that's so unfortunate. Oh well. For Nick Chubb, I'm like, dude, not
I
not
didn't
not the
want.
Chubbster.
Yeah, I didn't want my prediction of the Browns going 4-3 to come true because they lost Nick Chubb.
Yeah. I think that'll just about
You
do it for
can,
this
yeah,
episode.
you can walk us out here.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Leave us some comments in the description. Nope. Leave us some comments down below about your locks of the week. Anything you disagree with. Tell us
We
about
are
the Tush
professional.
Push. Tell us about
Yeah,
how
do
you
you
feel.
want your Tush Push?
Do
Talk
you
to
want your
us.
tush pushed? Do you feel good about fullbacks? Because that's how we feel. Is wonderful about fullbacks.
We love
We've
fullbacks.
we've been
We
recording
love Nick
for
Chubb.
long enough that we need to go to sleep now.
Yes.
So this has gone on for altogether too long. Goodbye.